Hi there, welcome to Island Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Aries energy. Oh my, we have a lot of cards not showing themselves. Anyway, we're going to read it from a couple different perspectives because, kind of depends on our emotional maturity level. High vibe Aries energy is about the self, and some people are still very much about themselves. Their wants, their needs, their lusts, their greed, their pride, their ego. More about indulging themselves or just got a lot of growing up to do. And high vibe Aries is becoming a good leader in your life. But you have to be willing to get out of your ego and work through your fears and your insecurities and your defensive nature and grow yourself up to be a good leader in your own life and be like a good friend, coworker, employee, boss, partner with other people. But some other people want to have the impression of being that type of person and look like that type of person and might act like that type of person. But for some of them, that's not the truth of who they are. So we have all these cards not showing themselves. For one thing, what that can mean for people who are in a more, well, if they're both shadowy, they're both hiding that they harness these energies in a more shadowy way. If they're both kind of more high vibe, they're people who have rejected harnessing those energies in a more shadowy way. And if people are in a mismatched relationship or just trying to get to know people, they're trying to figure out how people harness those cards and those energies to see if they're on the same page or not. But the cards we do have showing itself are the main male, which the way I read tarot is the masculine figures can represent how we're presenting ourselves in the world and action that we're taking. And I view this as an Aries card and part Taurus too, that it can have to do with what our philosophy of life is and if we operate more from our ego nature or not. And then we have the hammer card, which also says fire signs, so Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. And then we have the woman card, which says Taurus on it. And at the end, we have sweetheart. So Taurus energy can talk about our philosophy of life and, kind of fire sign energy can talk about kind of what drives and motivates us. Um, some people could be out of balance because we both have the feminine figures can talk about our more emotionally intuitive, loving nature. Some people haven't learned to stand up and defend their more hopeful, believing, loving nature. Whether they're male or female, they got some lessons to learn about getting more inspired emotionally to kind of love and believe in themselves to be willing to stand up for themselves. The other way this could be read is some people are no longer operating from their ego nature because the masculine cards can represent that we are more aligned with our worldly egoic nature. And some people got inspired to connect in more with their emotionally intuitive nature to align with love and having hope and faith and belief in themselves. So, one or the other, our more egoic nature is going to run our life, or our more loving, hopeful, believing, intuitive nature is going to run our life. And, whenever we work with anyone in any type of relationship dynamic, work or otherwise, people have the free will to not operate from their more egoic nature and to be inspired to work together with people in a more just and fair and cooperative way. And some people could have been inspired by some people, to get out. Maybe, being in our ego nature can be that we're more defensive, more a little bossy or controlling or immature. We can all have people in our life, whether they're male or female, who are more inspired to work together with people in a much more just, fair, balanced, authentic way. They're not operating from their ego. And then that can inspire other people to kind of let down their guard and move together. But let's go look at these cards that aren't showing themselves. I view this card as the overarching reason for the reading. Occupation, which is kind of reminds me of the Eight of Pentacles of Virgo energy of what our long term truth is, what ultimately drives and motivates us. Some people could kind of try to shed operating from their more egoic nature in order to try to more emotionally manipulate someone who is more loving and nurturing and hopeful and believing, regardless of what sex they are. But people could be hiding the fact that the truth is they're more about the ego or the image or the status than truth and love. Because in high vibe Virgo, you're either willing to grow and heal and mature yourself, which some people did, and they got out of their more worldly, egoic nature of maybe Taurus and Virgo and Aries of being more sweetheart in love with being more about themselves or these things of the world. Some people did, some people didn't. And some people who are trying to get to know people are trying to figure out, well, what's your truth? What kind of drives and motivates you? Are you more about those things? If I'm more about those things, what's your truth? So we have half truths, great fortune, the clover card, despair, sad news, past life, and the occupation card. So we'll all repeat certain patterns, and we've got layers and layers of our more egoic nature to shed. You know, just like all these different stages of life that we've went through, age 15, age 18, age 21, age 25, 35, 45. You know, we can detach from an old way of living life, and then we move forward in life, and it could be viewed as having more hope and faith and belief in ourselves and in our dreams. But when we go to that next stage of life, it kind of, you know, new levels, new devils, you know. When we were 15 years old and 18 and 21 and 25, we had certain fears and insecurities that we needed to overcome, right? And just like when we move forward in life, that next stage of life, it's like another layer of our more worldly nature that tries to kind of manipulate and control us again, because we have our more worldly egoic nature that kind of wants reward without effort, and has all of our fears and our insecurities, and it kind of wants us to give up on having hope and faith and belief in ourselves and just keep repeating this old pattern and give up on ourselves, and with the half truth, to think that, oh, I don't have to be inspired to put in work and effort to keep having hope and faith and belief in my dreams. That's too much work. I'm just going to give in to kind of staying in denial of the truth that I don't have to do that, and I can still have all this abundance in my life. Like, I could go do these other things instead. That would maybe make me feel better now or for a while. But, our shadow nature, the big picture, is kind of represented by the devil. The devil lies with the half truths. The devil tells us, make your life about these things. Don't keep having hope and faith and belief in yourself, because the devil and shadowy energy doesn't want to give birth to anything new, because that's scary. High vibe energy at the big picture represented by God wants us to work through those things, not let our shadow nature and our more egoic nature and the past and all of our fears and insecurities, to overcome those things, to keep being inspired, to look to the future and keep focused on truth and love. Let our more hopeful, believing, loving nature be in the driver's seat of our life. Well, we've all got to work through our own shadow nature. And then we have, and sometimes we're kind of ready to move forward in life a little differently, but then we battle with this within ourselves. Well, I don't know. Should I do things a little differently? And should I quit doing some of these things? And maybe I should quit thinking like this, acting like this, behaving like this, hanging out with these people, working at this job, whatever the case could be. Am I willing to work through kind of the lies I tell myself, and then the people I might have in my life who don't want me to love and believe in myself and want me to keep doing life the way they're doing life and the way we've been doing life, and just kind of stay in denial of the truth? But then we have the Clover card, which is Sagittarius energy, the another fire sign. We can either make our life more about indulging ourselves and either making it more where we want people to indulge us, or we're indulging someone else, or we're just kind of equally indulgent people who are kind of immature and got some lessons to learn, right? We can either align with that nature within ourselves and keep telling ourselves, oh no, this is like living the dream, and oh, this is going to be just fine, and I don't have to heal and grow and mature myself. But high vibe Sagittarius is about higher learning and education. And it can kind of depend on what people's truth is. Some people are, fire sign energy can be our curious side. Some people are very curious about learning things, and they certainly don't like having things that manipulate them within themselves or other people in their life manipulating them. And they're motivated and inspired to want to kind of wrap their brain around this game of life and work through these things that manipulate them, and work through their fear of maybe becoming independent of some people, who might try to manipulate them. That's kind of like letting other people who are more in egoic or shadowy energy and our own ego trying to control and manipulate us. And then we have the despair card and the sad news and the past. The truth sets us free, and that's what Virgo energy is about. If we're willing to put in the work and effort, if we get inspired in fire sign energy to do the work to look at all these things that make us think, I should just keep doing this. This is good enough. Well, why don't we love and believe in ourselves? We have free will. We can align with our more hopeful, believing, loving nature. The only problem is we might know if we align with our more hopeful, believing, loving nature, there might be some people in our life who don't want to be in a relationship with us if we're in that energy. And some people could kind of be dealing with that right now. Some other people already dealt with that, or they were in relationships with people, and we can all get in a relationship. And initially, we all got some lessons to learn in the half truth. We come in contact with all these different people in the world to help us get more clear about what our truth is and our truth isn't. And we can get in friendships, relationships, or jobs. And initially, we could be like, oh my gosh, this is great. Just like when we started to act more like an 18-year-old and quit being more like a 15-year-old. It's like, oh my gosh, why didn't I quit that sooner? This is so great, you know? Um, but then as we go through kind of that next phase of life, again, we could be tempted to, I kind of look at life as having to kind of slowly roll this ball up a gradual incline, because we have to put in work and effort, Virgo energy. It's not, this game of life isn't easy. And tempering our immature nature and our egoic nature and all those things is challenging, right? And then we can go through a phase of life, but then, if we kind of stay in a certain phase of life, it's kind of like it starts to get to where we don't enjoy it as much as we did at one point in time with the despair and the sad news in the past life. And part of that is because our intuition is kind of telling us that, that phase of life is coming to an end and it's time to look to the future. The same way, just like all these other phases of life. Did we want to stay 21 forever? Did we want to stay like a 25-year-old forever? No. Was it great when we were in it? Yeah. And then there came that part in our life where it's like, I kind of feel that part of the reason I might keep doing this is more because of my fear of listening to my intuition and loving and believing in myself. So then I'm kind of disappointed in myself that I kind of keep giving in to my own shadow nature. And I kind of do keep repeating a pattern. The truth is, there's kind of a part of me that would like to quit taking action in repeating some of these ways of being or living life. And everybody's on their own journey and everybody's going to hopefully one day get to that point where they get more inspired to move forward in life a little differently than they are inspired to keep repeating some old patterns. Some people kind of like to live from their ego, which again can just be their defensive nature. I'm defensive to love. I get hurt doing love. Do I want to be in relationships? Do I want to enjoy relationships, indulge myself in relationships? Yeah. But I'm defensive to really letting my guard down, male or female, to really do love. And it might be because, you know, it's like we debate within ourselves, consciously or subconsciously, the pros and the cons. And some people aren't taking more inspired action in their life. And right now they're kind of losing the battle within themselves. And everybody's got their journey and their story, and everybody's got different tolerance levels. And everybody, sometimes people got to hit rock bottom. And some people are sure that things will work out the way they want, but we have to work through emotionally. These are two feminine figures, so that can be emotionally. We might have to work through some, where did we get these thoughts and ideas in our head? Like, oh, this is how I should live life. That's living the dream. Oh, yeah, that'll be a blast. Oh, yeah, I don't want to do that. No, 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 no. You know, Sometimes we could have had people in our life that told us to make our life more about the world. And if we had a certain status or image, we'd be happy. Sometimes people didn't go invest in things that emotionally were aligned with their truth because they believed the lie, and they got in jobs and careers and relationships and friendships and professions that they don't even like. It's like you're either inspired to live your more authentic life, and that's what high vibe energy, the big picture represented by God, is to free yourself from these things that manipulate you to live your authentic life from a place of loving yourself, being inspired to work through these things that manipulate you, letting your truth be. I want to live my authentic truth out of love for myself, and I want to invest in other people who have learned to love themselves so they're not tipped out of balance. That shadowy energy being tipped out of balance, where either it's more about them, more about these things of the world, looking to invest in these other things to make you feel better, instead of doing this inner work to work through our past pain and heartbreak, our fears, our insecurities, Taurus energy that we have here could be about, the community we grew up in, the family we grew up in, their philosophy of life, their truth, the things that they valued. Well, everybody's different, right? Uh, if you have brothers, sisters, cousins, close friends, relatives, moms, dads, the things that they like to do and what drives and motivates them and what they want to invest their time and energy and effort into, even though we can be very close and we can like each other and all that good stuff, do we want to live life and like to do the things that they like to do? No, we're our own. And High Vibe Virgo is about being your own individual. But shadowy Taurus can be about more conforming to the world or other people instead of really living our more authentic life. And some people haven't worked through these issues from their past. Some people, you know, in high vibe energy and in the fire sign energy, which would include Leo, high vibe Leo is about being loving and encouraging and supportive within yourself and to others. But shadowy Leo can be that people are more emotionally aligned with kind of love and manipulated by their more ego nature. Where again, it's like, no, no, no. I want to be in relationships. I want to have jobs. I want to have friendships, but I align with my more defensive nature emotionally. And, then you're maybe trying to manipulate and control people in a relationship because you're not trying to create the illusion that I probably am more motivated and inspired by truth and love and being just and fair because love is supposed to be just and fair. You're supposed to treat other people the way you like to be treated, but some people aren't even authentically doing love. That's shadowy, like fire sign energy. And having a philosophy of life that, well, I'll just use my emotions and my sexuality and my body and my charm or my money or my words and my social clout or whatever I got, and I'll use all those things kind of more manipulatively in a relationship and not authentically take action, working together with people authentically, being authentically myself, getting out of my more egoic nature to work with people cooperatively and authentically in truth and love and justice and fairness. And shadowy people are trying to figure out if some of the people in their life, are they more motivated and inspired by things of the world? Do they have past pain and heartbreak they haven't worked through? Are they willing to repeat a certain pattern and a way of interacting in relationship with them the way they like to interact in relationship, which can be, I don't want to be more authentic, or kind of like I want to still be more defensive. I might want to be shadowy Aries, can be bossy or controlling, trying to control things more about myself, which anybody can harness. We all tap into Aries energy. So, and then some people are still just more motivated and inspired to make their life more about these things of the world. That's what's more important: the status, the ego, the image, them, whatever it is they want to go indulge in, and not really motivated and inspired by love. And that can be hard for people who are motivated and inspired by love to kind of wrap their brain around, because you think, of course, everybody would choose love. And there's people, it's like, no, you're like the devil. And you could view some of them like the devil. But you have different philosophies of life, and that's what the devil can represent. You challenge other people's belief systems, their truth. Can people be attracted to people who kind of challenge their belief systems? Like, even if you're kind of attracted to people who are a little more wild and crazy, and you're maybe not quite as wild and crazy, but they're impulsive and they're kind of fun. And it's kind of like, oh, damn. Yeah, I kind of like to be in a relationship with them. But, if I've been in enough relationships with people who are kind of impulsive and fun, sometimes they stay impulsive and fun all their life. And they kind of never, I view, kind of view this card as like a Queen of Pentacles. They never really get inspired, don't want to take action to really emotionally grow and mature themselves. And they could like living life like that. And that is their truth. And can they be fun to hang out with? And yeah, but then we kind of realize, well, I just thought everybody was going to kind of more emotionally grow and mature themselves and, leave that phase of life to go to the next phase of life. And some people are like, well, no, that's my truth. And that's why I'm going to keep living life. And sometimes those people do things like that. They're not quite being honest. They are more about, we don't have it on the table yet, but I've kind of alluded to it and I'm kind of thinking of it again. And so maybe it'll come out. Kind of Aquarius energy of, again, also how we view the world. And, some people, they do just want to indulge themselves as long as it's good for their ego and image. Some people just want to be in relationships right now and are trying to get in a relationship with someone because they think that's their vice. Instead of drugs or alcohol, they look to get in relationships to be the answer to their problems. And they might have some despair and regrets about the past, but they came up with the idea, like maybe, there's nothing I can do about it. Well, yeah, you can work through it, deal with the truth of it, to let it go. See where you need to heal and grow and mature yourself. See where other people need to heal and grow and mature themselves. And some people are just like, nope, I'm just going to try to maybe go get in another relationship. I'm sure that'll make everything better. And some people, everybody can have regrets about the past. We've all had growing up and maturing to do. And life is about making these decisions in our life because maybe in our Taurus energy, there's things that we want to, and in our Virgo energy that we want to manifest in our reality. And sometimes we were more immature and we had more emotionally mature people in our life and we didn't move forward with them. Sometimes we were in relationships with people and we were kind of the more emotionally mature person and we had to move on from those people. And, we all can have some regrets about the past and we can all um, be sad that some of the people in our life didn't grow and heal and mature themselves. Sad that we wish we'd been more emotionally mature at different times in our life and made some better decisions. But, we do have to deal with the truth and not stay in our ego about it or think we can control things. It's like we could keep telling, like, God, come on, this didn't work out. I want this to work. And God's like, they have free will. And that's not what they're doing. I know, but I'm sad. And that's what I wanted to work out. So come on, let's do it. God's like, they got free will. So you can keep being sad and in regret about things you did, in regret about what other people did, or you can get inspired to take the lesson that you learn from that life experience, get out of your ego about it. You could be a perfectly lovely, nurturing, supportive, encouraging person, and some people are going to reject you, maybe be in a relationship and enjoy it for quite a while. But when it gets to be where you've kind of worked through some of your issues of the past and you're more inspired to move forward in a more just and fair and balanced and authentic and loving relationships, that's when some of those people are like, uh, that's when they put the hammer down. Nope, you have stepped out of my comfort zone and I'm not going over there. Now, if you want to come back and do it this way, I'll stay in the relationship with you. I do not want to see the truth that it should be about love. I might not want to be more just and fair. I might, was happy. It was good for the ego and the image and the status. Am I sad you're leaving? Yeah, but I'm more inspired to make my life about not changing, not looking at life differently, not doing the inner work I would need to do and maybe get out of my ego to do that. So, though I might be sad, I'm going to do this again. And some of those people are working on someone new to try to repeat this type of pattern with for as long as it lasts. And some of the people that aren't being authentic and telling the truth about why they're more motivated and inspired to be in the relationship instead of actually being about love. Some of the people in their life are getting out of their ego about it. And it's like, you know what? I see the truth. I wish you peace. But out of love for myself, I am moving forward. And the people in our life who kind of work with us to work through these issues together, we keep moving forward with those people in our life. And everybody's kind of willing to do this work to, because it is kind of like being focused on the bigger picture and the bigger dream. So let's see what's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Aries energy that they might not see coming. There's the Aquarius card of the Six of Swords. So that card plus a card not showing itself, and the reason it came out is because of the Tower. We can keep trying to stay in certain situations and live our life a certain way, kind of not wanting to detach and move on because it can be scary. Again, we're kind of heading into unknown territory. Just like the first time you went to go get a job and you hadn't had a job before. Does everybody remember kind of how that could be scary? And then it was scary to leave that job to go get a different job, you know? And we cannot want to move on, and it takes time. Virgo energy talks about taking time within yourself to work through the emotional confusion of things of the past. And we're emotionally complex human beings, and we can have contradictory thoughts towards things and people, and it's hard to work through that. But because some people were inspired by love, they were inspired to do this work within themselves because they didn't want things to keep manipulating them. And they got out of their ego about it. It doesn't matter if I'm attractive or charming or encouraging or loving. Everyone else has free will to live their life the way they want to live it. And sometimes we're just not on the same page at the same time. And they decided, I'm going to keep being more motivated and inspired by love than my ego. And just like I can have people in my life that can care for me and I can care for them, but the relationship works if we're both in more shadowy energy. Kind of a more either a mismatched relationship where one person kind of like gives and the other person takes, or we're both in our fear or insecurity or codependency. Well, some people work through those issues and they're ready to move forward in life. They're not kind of like the same person they were before. The Six of Swords moves away from the Five of Swords, and the fives can talk about change. And Aquarius energy talks about our dreams and what our truth is. And again, we come in contact with all these different people to help us get more clear about what our truth is and our truth isn't. Can we all be sad and everybody be sad that kind of the way people wanted to move forward, and maybe what they want to invest their time, energy, and effort into, what their dreams and aspirations are, what their philosophy of life, or what they think is more just and fair of how to conduct themselves in a friendship, a workplace, or a relationship is different. Yeah, everybody can kind of be sad. But the high vibe people are inspired by truth and love. And the people who are motivated and inspired to move forward in truth and love, Those are the people who are able to work through these things and let it go, to be free of it. I dealt with the truth of it. I accepted the truth of it. I didn't stay in my ego about it. And I wish people peace and love, but the only person I can change is me. And I have my truth and I have my dreams and my aspirations. And it seemed like the foundation, you know, in our Virgo energy at the foundation of what our truth ultimately is, of what our long term goals are, and what drives and motivates us can be different. And the high vibe people accept the truth of it. And they also could have seen the truth that some of their people in their life are very unstable, maybe have a lot of things in their life and their ego and their world, and people can manipulate them. They might have a lot of things they need to work through, but they never take action and kind of lack inspiration emotionally to want to put in the work and effort. So, and sometimes some people, they just give in to acting in more immature ways that causes the people that they're in relationships with to feel hurt and sad. And, you know, whatever someone's vice is, that it could just be, again, when cards are in reverse, it can be extreme. Some people are really controlling. And because they could have all these fears or insecurities and try to manipulate and control people, they could take some immature action and it doesn't work out well for them. Maybe some people go about things in a shadowy way to get to the truth. Because Virgo energy in high vibe is about getting to the truth. Well, how do we go about getting to the truth? Are we inspired to work together with people cooperatively in a just and fair way to try to get to the truth? And some people are like, no, I know. I'm going to go about it in a more shadowy way, and it causes pain and heartbreak and regret in their relationships. But some of those people can keep wanting to stay in denial that the things that they do in a relationship, it doesn't work out. And then some people want to be hurtful and unkind and bossy and controlling and manipulative and intimidating. And, they try those things in relationships, and if the people are like, okay, I have fear of loving myself, okay, I'll stay. They're like, perfect. I get to indulge myself kind of in the great fortune, kind of like, it's kind of like a 10 of Pentacles. Yay, I get to be immature or bossy or controlling or manipulative or more about me because you don't love and believe in yourself. So basically, um, we'll maybe try to make it look like it's just and fair and motivated and inspired by love, but we're really going to make it more about me, male or female. And you see some people live their life like that and could have tried to do that with you. And for a long time, we cannot want to see the truth when people are being immature or kind of manipulative, or seems like we're putting in a lot more of the work and effort to try to move things forward, and the other people kind of aren't, kind of want to be indulged. And eventually it's like, well, apparently I'm trying to move things forward from a certain truth. I don't want to repeat this, but you keep repeating it. I see the truth of it. Apparently, you don't want to move forward in this the same way I want to. So you're able to detach from it. And then what some people don't know about you, you know, people can detach from things and move forward in their life, just like some of these people can detach from people and move forward in life. But you really did the work. With these cards not showing themselves, people can see you moving forward and that you're not repeating some old patterns. But shadowy people just try to create an illusion about who they are. like they've grown and healed and matured and they've moved on in life. But you really did the work. And people can see you moving forward in life differently, that you're not repeating some old patterns. And some of those people don't know how you did it. And partly because they don't ever get inspired to do this work within themselves, to free themselves from these things that manipulate them, to authentically, truly be able to move forward in life differently. So they don't know how you're doing it, but they're trying to maybe copy it. And just like they don't realize that you're just not in relationships with certain people because they were more motivated by other things or they were hurtful or whatever. Um, it's because you just see the truth that the way you view life is different. Your long term goals. You kind of maybe look at life from a higher perspective in high vibe Aquarius, and they could harness a more worldly, shadowy Aquarius energy where they're kind of more still caught up in being about themselves or having a certain status or image in the world is more important than love. And as you keep moving forward, you'll be able to, again, we can move away from things, but to really emotionally detach from it, there was something that you needed to detach from harnessing it in a more worldly, shadowy way and harness it in a more high vibe way. And that's what you're doing, which is the Three of Pentacles, which can just be the foundation that you operate from. And the Three of Pentacles and Capricorn energy, just that at one point in your life, you were also, like most people, 30 to 40 years, up until they're 30 and 40 years old, you were pretty caught up in these things of the world. And you had to go through all these different life experiences to help you heal and grow and mature yourself. And you're not operating from the same foundation where before you might have been more inspired by, because of issues from your past, looking to be in relationship, wanting someone to love you. This whole experience could have made you learn to love yourself. So you get out of being in more codependent relationships. And you're just not the same person you were. And other people in the world, people you do know, people you don't know, are also moving forward in life like this. And it could be shocking to some of the people in your life because they keep letting whatever manipulates them manipulate them. But you freed yourself from something that used to manipulate you. And they don't know how you did it. I view the Three of Pentacles also as kind of freeing yourself because shadowy Capricorn is represented by the devil. Could you have went through a period of being sad and disappointed and confused and all those things? Yes, but in high vibe Taurus and Virgo and Aries energy and Leo energy and maybe Cancer energy and Pisces and Scorpio energy of the sweetheart, you stayed focused on the big picture and taking action more from truth and love. And high vibe Taurus is walking the talk. And that's what freed you. Could you have taken other action? Yeah, you got free will. You could have. And for some people, they did. And the people who did could now be hiding. They're kind of in regret and realizing they repeated an old pattern. And then they have to decide, am I willing to do that or am I not? And then high vibe energy is being a good leader in the world. And that's high vibe Aries energy. And some other people could see other people who aren't repeating poor past patterns that make just keep repeating an old cycle over and over. See other people, and we can be motivated by a lot of things. We can be motivated by other people, but God uses all. Fire sign energy is like all the creative, inspired energy. I view it in the world. So, books and movies and music and artwork and nature and all those things that can are available and our own creative inspired nature, if we're willing to work with those things to align with our more hopeful believing nature versus giving in to our more shadowy nature. And we have the free will to work with people who are more just and fair and walk the talk and emotionally mature and just and fair versus investing our time, energy, and effort into people who've already shown us that's not their truth. And some high vibe people have already seen the truth. There's some of the people, they moved on. They could have realized, shoot, I think I had some other people in my life once upon a time that were more emotionally mature and loving, but I was more immature, you know? But they just accept the truth of it. They would probably, high vibe people, get out of their ego. They're also willing to communicate their truth to people that, I made mistakes in my life. I was more immature. I had lessons to learn, and if they communicate their truth, which the fire sign represented by the wands and, it could be about communication, and then it's up to those other people to go through this to decide, do I really think you're telling the truth? Do I think you did grow up and mature yourself? And just like as some of you move forward, some people in your life, then it's like, shoot, they're not going to repeat this old pattern. And then if those people go through some of that work, if they come approach you at some point in time, you might be sad with some of the people. It's like, sorry, I've moved on. And just like some people could tell you, sorry, or I'm already, you meet someone, it's like, oh, I'm in a relationship. Oh, damn. Um, or someone you communicate has already moved on with someone else. Well, the same thing could happen with people like you, but there's some people in your life that, you know, sometimes some people can tell you that, like, oh, I just want to be back in a relationship with you. And it's like, yeah, no. I have definitely seen the truth of the foundation you operate from. And if they say, oh, no, I did some of this work, you know, for some people, you know, they were so unjust and unfair and unkind or tried to completely tear you down that, you're, I don't view you as someone that is a safe or stable person to be in a relationship with. Can I be glad that you saw through some things? Yes. It's just like the foundation, the tower card, the foundation that they operate from is just way too, you saw the truth. It was way too skewed. And, you know, no. Other people you can extend more grace to because, we can just accept that everybody at different times has been dealing with whatever they've been dealing with and working through their own issues. And some of the people, regardless, you moving forward in your life, believing in yourself, believing your dreams, in the tower card, it could shock some people because some people never thought you would really love and believe in yourself. Um, as you move forward, there could be other people who, it can be shocking to know who are the people who aren't willing to be encouraging and supportive and work together with you in that way. And it can be shocking to see which people are. And other people could be equally shocked, at like, wow, I never thought those people would hang out or those people would work things out or that those people wouldn't, vice versa. And irregardless, high vibe people are living their truth. What's coming up? Oh, that's funny. The shadowy people, what they don't see coming is the Six of Swords because of the Ace of Cups. So when people are not being truthful and authentic and they are more about themselves and they are more immature and they have these issues they haven't dealt with, but they can try to move forward in relationships, kind of wearing a false mask. The only problem is some other people are more emotionally connected in with listening to their intuition, and those people have been offering them maybe love to move forward with them, and these people keep hiding the fact that they have these unresolved issues, so that's why they're not taking action to bring the dream into reality. And the other people in their life see the truth of it and they wish them peace, love, because love is the answer. I wish you peace and love. You have the free will to live your life whatever way you want. That's not my truth. I have a dream. And then people can be shocked because some people could know that you have love for them, whether again it's your adult children, brother, sister, friend, family. It's like I can have love for people, but if you keep repeating an old pattern over and over, well, I could feel like you're emotionally just trying to manipulate my loving nature. And I see that you're not inspired to move forward in like truth and love and justice and fairness and character and integrity. You kind of want to be indulged in these kind of shadowy, more immature ways of being. And I'm going to let you go enjoy your life doing that with someone else. And I'm moving on. And that could really be a tower moment for some of those people. Because that is kind of what the devil does, right? The devil tries to manipulate loving people. Like, is the devil trying to get other demons to align with them? No, because they already know those people are on the same page as them. I want to snag me an angel. And I want an angel who's loving and nurturing and supportive and encouraging to indulge me in a relationship. I don't care if they're sad. I don't care, if they want things to be different. This is how I want to do it. And I am going to use their loving nature to manipulate them. And people saw the truth that people were aligning with their more shadowy nature, not their more loving nature. And they were offering truth and love. Well, if I'm offering truth and love and being authentic and loving and encouraging, and that's not enough, well, that's the best there is to offer. And I see the truth that that apparently isn't what drives and motivates you. So I wish you peace. And then, because they keep choosing to emotionally invest in being more about themselves, that's like shadowy Aquarius energy, and shadowy Aries and shadowy Leo, and their more immature nature, shadowy Taurus, they're more inspired by the worldly dream or the ego or the image or being more about themselves. And there'll be other people who will come along. They might look like a stable, grounded, abundant, shine bright in the world in some way, whether charming or attractive or money or status, whatever. There's going to be other people who will get in a relationship with them. It's just that the people who stay might be other people who are also in the relationship more for those other reasons, or hasn't learned to love and believe in themselves, so is kind of willing to indulge these more immature, shadowy people in a relationship. And the shadowy people, by worldly standards, it could look like they're a shining star in the world, like they have what other people have. But that dream only really authentically comes into reality if the people engaged in it are all taking action from truth and love. And even if one of them isn't, then it's a mismatched relationship. One person's maybe trying, putting in the work and effort to make it loving, and the other person isn't. Or neither one of them are really motivated and inspired by love. And then in a shadowy Taurus relationship, it is a more transactional relationship, more to be in a relationship, or for the status or the ego or the image. To look like, look, our dream has come into reality. Look, we've healed. Look, we've moved on. But they're the exact same people they were at the last job and friendship and relationship. And if either one of them finds someone else who might have more status, more image, more willing to indulge them, they would leave this relationship because it's not built on a solid foundation. Love is a solid foundation. And you saw the truth that some people, it's more about them or these things of the world that drives and motivates them. And you detach from that foundation to believe in your dream And I think as you move forward in that way, some people could be shocked because they would have thought, oh, that person will go get in a relationship because they're sad or because of stability or security or status or image. I don't think they love and believe in themselves. I don't think they'll invest in their own unique talent, skills, and interests to grow and heal and mature themselves. I bet they'll go repeat an old pattern. And so some people could be shocked that you're putting in that work and effort, and some other people they could see are kind of repeating an old pattern, and then it kind of reveals the truth. The people who like to maybe present themselves like, I don't know, not codependent, not whatever, they're very codependent. And then they could be surprised to see who is the more independent person, because high vibe energy and high vibe Virgo and high vibe Leo and Aries and Sagittarius and Cancer and Aquarius is about shining your more authentic light in the world, knowing your worth and value, not going to settle for the just the illusion. If it's not based on truth and love, then I'm going to go enjoy my life, go get in the jobs, friendships, and relationships with people who are more authentic. I don't want to do the superficial and the shallow. So there you go. Who's who in your world, Aries? Listen to your intuition and live your truth, or keep repeating an old pattern. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.